Hey everybody, McCoy614 here, and today I'm going to be talking about the current state of Ghost Recon Breakpoint 1 year after its release. So the first thing I want to say about Ghost Recon Breakpoint is it is not dead. It didn't die. It wasn't dead. The developers continued to release new content and bug fixes and updates. And although a lot of people stopped playing it, the developers never just abandoned it, so it was never a dead game. And there are people who are hoping for and are speculating a year to pass, meaning that it is still not dead and it won't die for at least another year. So during its release last October, we got episode 1, Operation Greenstone, I think is what it was called. Anyway, that was the launching point for the story of Ghost Recon Breakpoint, featuring Cole Walker and the introduction to Trey Stone and all the wolves and everybody. So, episode 1 gave us a lot of missions, gameplay, and story value. Episode 2 of Ghost Recon Breakpoint featured the legendary Sam Fisher, which we got to work alongside to capture the strategist. Now, in my personal opinion, Episode 2 didn't give us plenty of unique missions like Episode 3 did, but we'll get to that later. But it was the whole point of having Mr. Splinter Cell himself, Sam Fisher, to play alongside, and there was lots of cool features and cosmetics and whatnot in that update, so very cool. And Episode 3 featured Raven's Rock and our mission to take down Trey Stone. There were lots of very cool and interesting missions and great content, but the story was just so lacking. If you watched my Episode 3 review, you'll know what I'm talking about. But that was still a fun update, lots of bug fixes and features and cosmetics and just so much stuff brought with Episode 3. So the number of cosmetics that are currently in the game have at least tripled what was at the beginning of the game. So the developers listened to the community. We said, hey, we want more cosmetic content, and did they deliver, especially in Episode 3. Another thing that the developers listened to the community about was the gunsmith. There were a lot of people not happy with the gunsmith at the start of the game back in October. And it took a while, but the Ghost Recon dev team and Ubisoft eventually added all the features that fans wanted. And the gunsmith, I believe, is now completed with Episode 3. And just overall, the dev team has listened to every word that the community has had for them. They've listened to all the numerous complaints about the game, and they've done their best to listen to the community and add what we wanted, which I think they've done a fantastic job of, the gunsmith being a good example. They adjusted the story of Episode 3. They totally rechanged that to the community's liking, or what they believe the community would like. They fixed so many bugs, so many updates attempted to fix bugs. They added the ghost experience because nobody wanted the tiered loot system. They added AI teammates, which people were begging for since October of 2019. They added that in sometime during Episode 2, during that update. And they added so many other things that the community asked for, like cosmetics and whatnot. The Ghost Recon team also added a couple of Easter eggs. I don't know if you know this. The ones that I know of are the Godzilla Easter egg and the Zombie Bunker Easter egg. So it's just goes to show that they're still working on the game and they're having fun with it if they're adding these kinds of Easter eggs. Now, we're going to talk about bugs. I know, the game it's not bug free, but what game is? I know people say there are lots of bugs in Ghost Recon. I've run into a few, not nearly as many as people are complaining about. Some people are having all these bugs, and that just stinks that they're having all these bugs and this bad experience, because for whatever reason, their game isn't acting correctly. But for me, I have experienced almost no bugs. I've experienced a few here and there, some after updates and whatnot, but yeah, that's all I'm gonna say is the game still has bugs, but they've gone a great length to try and fix all of them. So the thing that I probably have the biggest problem I have with Breakpoint is that the DLCs, episode 2 and 3, they aren't free. The story missions aren't free. They have a couple free missions, but overall, they aren't free. That's not good. That doesn't make the game look good. That's not gonna make people want to play the game and buy the game if they can only do half the story. But it makes sense that they're doing that because Breakpoint had such a poor launch and it's on sale almost all the time. It's half the time it's like $20. So it makes sense that that Ubisoft would want to make this DLC content pay to play. So yeah. So at launch, almost immediately, one of the things people noticed was some kind of pack that you could buy. This is way before the Ghost experience and tiered loot was still the meta of the game. People noticed that there was a pack you could buy that would give you good gear. And people were like, oh, this is pay to win. Why would I don't want to buy this game if it's going to be pay to win. Ubisoft and Ghost Recon almost immediately took that out and said it was an accidental feature, that it wasn't supposed to be there for a while. And since Ghost Experience, even prior to that, even throughout all of episode 1 and some of episode 2, before the Ghost Experience, we never saw that pack again. And now that the Ghost Experience is here, I don't believe we are ever going to see that pack again. So if people are still thinking that this game is pay to win, it is not. And this is going to wrap it up for the video. By God, has Ghost Recon Breakpoint come far from where it was. So many bugs, so many things wrong with it, connection issues, yada yada yada. The pay to win, pay to play, tiered loot, all that. Lack of AI teammates, you know, I could just go on. But in a year, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, the Ghost Recon dev team and Ubisoft have brought the game to where it should have been at launch. In a year. Now I want to remind everybody, Ghost Recon Wildlands came out 3 years ago. They did rush to make Breakpoint in 2 years. But here we are 3 years later with the Breakpoint that we should have had, the sequel to Wildlands that we should have had. And to take all of that stuff in a year, during a pandemic no less, where a lot of people are working from home, they have added live events, they have added new episodes and DLC, new cosmetics, new features like the Ghost experience, they added the raid, they added all this amazing content in 1 year. Well, yeah, 1 year. So think on that. I hope Ubisoft learns from Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I know they have. I know they said that they were mixing up the directors of different games. That's why Watch Dogs Legion is now got pushed back. Not only because of the pandemic, but because they needed to make changes around the studio to make it so that all the games weren't so similar. Like the Division 2 and Ghost Recon Breakpoint were so similar. I haven't played Division 2, but I hear that's what it was. So yeah, I hope Ubisoft learns from this just failure of a launch of a game. I still enjoyed every single bit of Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and I will continue to play it, and I hope they release new content. I just hope that when and if they launch another Ghost Recon game, they will learn from Breakpoint, and they will add the things that need to be added at the start of the game. I hope there is offline play. I hope there is multiplayer and just a better multiplayer experience. And I hope there's a better story and not all the DLC after that will have to be paid for, even though it probably will, because that's just the meta of storytelling now. But yeah, that is going to do it for the video. We have come very far from October 4th of 2019 to October 4th of 2020. The game has come a long way, and I hope it goes on for at least a year or two. So, thank you everybody for listening. I hope you maybe agreed, disagreed with some of the things I said.